Got your message.
You go second. You know what? We're going to give it to 5 after.
Make an announcement if you remember. That the bell will rung when there's 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, we're not going to say 30 seconds left?
I can either say 30 seconds or I can ring the bell. What do you prefer?
Just as long as we get there.
Yeah. That's true.
Matt, I'm going to put this behind David.
All right, perfect. Here, actually,
That's for the people who are going to ask questions after we're done. And this is for us. Well, you can sit there. We only have 4 people here. The rest are going to be sitting up here. And Henry's not going to do this.
I didn't think I was going to feel that. For a week, I had pain in my lower abdomen. And then
Big turnout.
I'm surprised. Okay. All right, so I'm going to say, all right. And then when it's done, you got to say, bring it again.
yeah, exactly.
So they can smell.
right now, unfortunately, all the pain is gone.
Well, regardless of the light, it's not as bad as I think the low school.
Right.
You gotta stay away from some, cereals, peanuts and stuff like that.
What was funny was I printed out, I sent to her just before we left from the hospital. I printed out my speech saying you may have to give it
Follow it done by the first letter of the first name.
Lorraine,
The first letter of the first name.
in case I don't see him and he gives the speech, well, he's going to, when he asks the question, he's going to introduce it.
I'm already there.
No, he's busy. Let's talk to you? Oh,
Okay. That's it.
he already told me.
7, whenever you want to start.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I see we're going to have a lot of control over this group. Everybody get your coffee and find a seat. We'd like to start. There's only 4 of us.
I think that
2 of you are here. Henry can make it.
Henry is 5. Who else is
6, 7.
now? 1, 2. Oh, Margaret is 3.
I have no idea. You have to have the pink envelope. That has to go inside the pink envelope because the pink envelope has your name on it. All right, everybody. We're 2 minutes behind schedule. Welcome, everybody, to our candidates' night. Forever who doesn't know me, my name is Alan Capel. I'm the treasurer of the board, and I'm taking Henry's place for tonight because he couldn't make it. Well, I expected a little more than that. Behind you, you see the 6 candidates who will be speaking to you tonight, who are running for the 3 open positions. Right to left, we have Aaron Schatzer, Arnie Scher, Howard Rosen, Len Masucci, Michael Warman, and Rich Turan. The way the format is going to work is this. Each candidate will be permitted to make a 3-minute presentation. After 2.5 minutes, we're going to ring a bell. Ding, where's your bell, David? At the end of 3 minutes, the bell will be rung twice, and your time will be up. The order of the presentation is the same as it is on the ballot. All homeowners' questions to the candidates will take place after all candidates have spoken. Once everybody has spoken, anybody who would like to ask a question, we have seats up front. This lectern is going to be moved over there, and then you can ask a question. A homeowner asking a question must identify himself or herself and then direct the correct question to one candidate. 1 question per homeowner will be permitted. Candidates will have up to 2 minutes to respond to a question. If a candidate wishes to respond to a question directed to another candidate, you may do so after the candidate to whom it was initially directed completes the response. Time permitting, after all homeowners have asked their questions, we will take second questions. Each homeowner can ask 1 additional question. Any questions? No, I didn't think so. Okay, we're ready to go. Our first candidate to speak is Aaron Schatzer. Yes, come to the podium. Come here.
Good evening, I'm Aaron Schatzer, a person about whom has been asked by many people, who is that guy? In any case, I think that I hope to give you an idea who I am after I finish speaking and answering questions. Before I begin, I'd like to say that we have to appreciate that this community is run by a lot of people who volunteer, work very hard on committees, on boards, and many other projects. And whether we agree with them or not, we certainly owe them a respect and a vote of thanks. Now, there are many, I am running because there are certain issues that I feel need more attention that we could do better with. They are infrastructure, security, communication, and many others. With regard to infrastructure, we, as the community ages, have found a lot of breakdown in plumbing, broken pipes, sometimes due to carelessness of residents. The main complaint I've heard as I've tried to investigate what's going on with all of this is that the time it takes to settle these things is a little bit longer, creating a lot of frustration on the people who are victims of this circumstance. And I have ideas how we can improve that. Security. There are certain incidents that I know have occurred that could be done better. I know one of my neighbors, 2 o'clock in the morning, heard a knocking on the door. Nobody called from the gate. He, needless to say, wasn't going to run and answer the door, so he called security. And someone did come to answer the call a half an hour after the call. And the reasons why these things happen, that we should really look into taking care of these things. Also, as far as security, and this is not the problem with the guys at the gate, did you ever look at the directions that are printed up, how to get to your home? And do you know what they really are? I mean, I know when we first moved in 5 years ago, we said, no, this is wrong. It would be a lot easier. And they said they couldn't do anything about it. These are things we should really do things about. Communication. A lot of people have been telling me they feel that they're not getting appropriate attention, answers, and I think we could work on this a bit too. Saved by the bell. So these are the issues that I really think need attention, and in the short time I had, I think I'm trying to lay out what I think that we could work on and some of the solutions that I have. Thank you.
Next up is Ani Sher.
I think we have to lower the mic a bit. Hi, I'm Ani Sher, and I am and have been a resident of Meadowbrook Pointe since 2007. My wedding to my lovely wife, Sherry, took place as the first non-Beechwood event in our clubhouse. Together with Beechwood, we had to develop the first contracts for use of the clubhouse as our wedding venue. My wife and I are full-time residents at Meadowbrook Pointe. We care deeply about the quality of life and the upkeep of our community. As I often walk the community, I've noticed many problems and safety items which I've had addressed. My background is in engineering. I've also worked in sales and business operation. I have a deep understanding of technology along with complex legal and accounting issues. I have started 2 successful businesses, one of which was taken public. I'm currently retired and have most recently worked as a consultant where I have been performing leading roles in compliance, security, technical systems, and forensic audits. I've also performed risk assessments, regulatory remediations, and have developed policies and procedures for major companies. My training and experience have contributed to decisions making during the board discussions. As part of the board, I've often presented looking at issues from a different perspective to resolve problems. I've suggested the uses of a public adjuster to both the HOA and the Board of Managers. This would replace the insurance company adjuster to speed up and enhance insurance settlement when major damage occurs to our buildings. 2 years ago, I was elected to the HOA board and would like your vote to continue the work I'm doing. For the past 8 years, I've served on Condo 2 Board of Managers. I was instrumental in hiring an attorney and engineer to start the early transition process and followed it through to conclusion. I'm an active member of the Board of Managers and a number of HOA committees, Budget and Finance, Human Resources, IT, and Fitness and Wellness. I deeply believe in an open and communicative board. However, many topics such as individual issues, contracts, employee matters, vendors, legal matters must remain confidential. As a compromise between openness and confidentiality, on the Pointe has been published to provide residents with more information. I have always been available to answer anyone's questions about board matters and discuss my votes and opinions and the reasoning behind my decisions. If you re-elect me as a director on the HOA board, I'll continue to work hard to improve our community. I will continue to try to make the board more open to community input. I believe the board and management should provide the community with more timely information and services. I'll continue to be readily available to discuss with any resident community concerns and address problems as they occur. We live in a beautiful community. The HOA board and management are working hard to continue to accomplish that. I ask for your vote so I may continue to make Meadowbrook Pointe a community that we all be proud to live in.
Next up is Howard Rosen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Howard Rosen. Thanks for coming to the Candidate Forum, which has been improved this year to allow questions from the residents directly to the candidates in an open meeting. I have been a resident of Meadowbrook Pointe for over 12 years, having moved here with my wife Karen in 2007. I am a full-time resident with no other home. I became active in the community in 2010 when I was elected to the Board of Managers of Condo 2 and have served in that position since. As you can see from my resume, I've had broad experience in managing and founding businesses. I have a Bachelor of Business Administration and an MBA in Business Management. I have always been a problem solver, and I have taken on projects when others seek to shy away from them. I am always an advocate for the residents with the Board of Managers and the HOA, and have never denied to help any resident with solving a problem. I serve on the Grievance Committee and the Human Resources Committee, which allows me to use my managerial and social skills that I have used during my business career. Find the man a seat. I serve on the Budget and Finance Committee and the new Resident Welcoming Committee. During our transition, I was the liaison for the Board of Managers with the Transition Committee. We have many goals to accomplish here at Meadowbrook Pointe, but my primary goals when I am elected to the board are: 1, improve communications with homeowners by reinstituting open board meetings. We have not had any open board meetings in about a year and a half, and it's time to reinstate them. Number 2, all committees should meet at least monthly and issue formal minutes to the board prior to sending them out and posting them on the Meadowbrook Pointe website. I would also seek to expand and rotate the committee's memberships so that more people can participate. Number 3, improve reporting by management to the board and to the homeowners, and especially improve preventive maintenance with an eye toward minimizing serious events. We currently do not have any standards or reporting to tell us how well or how poorly our staff is performing. I ask for your votes to get started on these objectives right away. Thank you for listening.
Next up is Len Masucci.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank my wife, Elaine, because the job we're trying to be elected for entails a lot of time, and a lot of negativity goes with it. I also want to thank Henry Cernitz. There are 7 of us on the board at this time, but he's the president and he's the leader, and he's done a tremendous amount for our community here in Meadowbrook. He is a big loss. I formerly held a position on the Board of Managers, and I still attend quarterly captain's meetings with Condo 7. It's a great means of communication. I've served on the following committees. I am serving the Budget Committee, Safety and Security, and the Grievance Committee. As a member of the Board of Directors, I have also been a part of the following changes in the last few years: the landscaper, security company, the pool management, and the garage maintenance companies have been changed, and the hiring of Irene done. I was a catalyst for the following: sensor lights, cameras on the south side and fences on the corporate drive and Merchants Concourse walking trail. A community member recommended a security company to me. I got some ideas, passed them along to Irene, and she got bids, and we had them installed. I've also been involved recently with the concern of double paying for the garbage collection. I got Laura Gillen and her assistant Joe Davenport to come here to speak to us and hear our concerns. He will be here September 26th to share his conclusion. I've also been involved with the western perimeter fence erosion issue. When the Vanderbilt was built, they should have put a retaining wall. They didn't. There is an erosion whenever it rains. I'm working with Beechwood and a property manager at Vanderbilt. After the winter, we will address the situation again. Pickleball. I've been working with Sean McBride at Eisenhower Park. One tennis court has already been lined for pickleball. He promises me, he told me that he's hoping to have a second one before the winter, and ideally 2 more following spring. I've also served on the bylaw committee, and I am a member of the Civic Association. When walking to community, if you see something, take a picture, bring it to the office, have them address it. There's no need to use it for gossip. Meadowbrook Pointe is now 12 years old. There is a lot ahead of us. We must work together to address any future issues. We're in good financial shape, but that's a plus. If you have any ideas, share them with a board member through text, emails, and we'll address it. The kind of worker I am. On occasion, while walking the community, I actually take a trash bag and collect debris. Last year, Rick Schwartz and I cleaned up Corporate Drive. We got smarter after that, and we called the town of Hempstead, and they're doing for us now periodically. Here how things I think can work here. A neighbor of mine, Jeff Ray, mentioned to me a water sensor device. I passed it along to the maintenance committee, and they'll be looking into it and how it may be used to address the water leakage issues. The board is here to serve the community, but we are residents also. Please respect the different roles. I am here all year. Elect me, and I will continue to work hard to maintain and enhance our community. Thank you.
Next man up is Mike Warman.
Good evening. My name is Michael Warman. As you may have read in my resume, I feel that my credentials and experience in management and administration makes me well qualified to be on the board. I believe the board today is faced with serious structural challenges for which my skills and experience hold considerable value. Are you using the cashless system? I manage that, plus the digital maintenance reporting system. I also co-produced the website, and I wrote the manual. I also wrote the proposal for the pickleball court, which should be voted on by the entire community. I have done research on a golf putting green for the community. As stated at the top of the clubhouse, we are the athletic club and spa. Despite our age, we are an active and vibrant community. Like it or not, electric cars are becoming more and more popular, and I found that the EV charging in the underground garage was unfeasible, and that is why the board approved changes to be placed at the chargers to be placed at the clubhouse. New York State provides a substantial rebate and a tax credit for the community. We have to keep up with other communities and bring us into the 21st century. The more amenities we offer, the more desirable our community becomes, the more valuable our property is, and that is something we all want. I will communicate with you as neighbors and strive to do my duties as transparently as possible. We need to have a correct and updated homeowners directory. I have established an email address called MP Questions 2019. You can send me a question, and I promise you that I will answer it in a prompt fashion. Communication is critical because we lack of it and only weakens our ability to accomplish our objectives. I have several additional ideas that, if I'm elected, will also increase our property values, safety, and security of the community. In order to accomplish these goals, I need your vote, and I look forward to answering any of your questions. Thank you for listening.
Our last candidate is Richard Turan.
Thank you and good evening. Although I only have 3 minutes to speak about my qualifications and reasons for seeking your vote to be a director, and I have to tell you I disagree with many of the important decisions that the current board of directors has been making, and I definitely disagree with the process that they use to make those decisions. I want to be very clear that I respect each of those individuals personally for their efforts, and I do believe that they are people of integrity. Inasmuch as my professional biography has already been made available to everybody, I'm not going to go through all the details right now. However, for anyone who does not use a computer, I have hard copies here today of my bio, and I will distribute it to those who ask for it. I personally have served on more than 20 boards of for-profit and not-for-profit companies of various sizes, including one with assets of over $9 billion. I've served as president and CEO of several companies, and one of them had an annual budget of $500 million and more than 4,000 employees. My leadership style is one of cooperation and collegiality. If elected, I will work with the other directors and all of the homeowners to approach things differently. I will always remember that the board of directors works for the owners, not the other way around. I will advocate for the board to be open and candid and not secretive, with few exceptions, such as personnel matters and things like that. There's very little that you shouldn't know about, very little. Specifically, I want us to resume the electronic distribution of minutes. There is no excuse for stopping that the way we did. I will seek the views of the community on important and controversial matters such as the dog weight issue. I'm reminded that I got a telephone call just the other day from one of our neighbors who lives on Equestrian Court, and he told me that he had his unit up for sale, and somebody came in, a woman came in who had a Labrador, and then she heard about the dog weight issue, and she canceled the contract. This is lowering our property values. I told that to people on the board. They wouldn't change. The board must abide by the bylaws. They must stop micromanaging operations. They must empower the board of managers and the executive staff, and then we will have fewer problems with things like fire alarms, smoke detectors, garage doors, etc. For those reasons, I ask for your support and stand ready to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to set up for questions. Anybody who wants to ask a question, please come to the front row, and there's designated seats for people to ask questions.
Lucky me. Yeah, not last Saturday. The lifeblood of any organization, community, church, sports team, civic association is the website. It's the 21st century. It's how people learn things. The website we have is a veritable disaster. It's ugly, it doesn't provide much information, it's antiquated, and it needs to be changed. There's a category on the website that says Meadowbrook Pointe News. The last time anything was posted to Meadowbrook Pointe News was February 2018. There's a category on the website that says committee reports. With the exception of the committee report of the tennis committee in September, the last committee report from any other committee of the myriad committees here was April of this year. The membership directory has dead people in it who are gone for a year. May they rest in peace, but not on the membership directory. This needs to change. It really isn't hard, and it isn't all that expensive. Everybody in this room advantages from a vibrant and viable website. Everybody. It's a two-piece equation. You have to develop the website and you have to feed it with information. The doing the website ain't hard. You've just got to get the people and the pieces together. The feeding it ain't hard either. The board directs it. We need that more than anything else. So, what specifically will each of you do, recognizing that you would be one of 7, to advance this and put us into the 21st century and help every single person in this room?
Tom, who was the question directed at specifically so they could answer first?
One thing you mentioned was the sparsity of information. To some degree, that depends upon the residents. People should not hesitate to try to provide information, interesting news, group activities, and that this way we can have some sort of viable website. If nobody is going to contribute, then I don't think we'll have any luck doing this. So this is what I would basically recommend: participation by our community.
The website is only as good as the information in it, and that requires, and we actually have found another website that's significantly less expensive. I guess I have to talk louder or aim it in my mouth. The problem we have is commitment by management, by the clubs, to enter information into the website. Without that commitment and a total commitment, no website will be successful. And to this date, we haven't been able to get that commitment. We've been trying to get updated directories. I know David developed a form for an updated directory. I don't think it's been passed out to anyone at this point. I do know there are some dead people in the directory. Some of them are purposefully because their spouse doesn't want them removed. I don't know how many of them are like that, but I can understand that situation, having lost a spouse myself in the past. But that shouldn't be a problem, and it's just going to take a commitment by management.
Well, Tom asked a multi-part question. Number one, about the website. Developing a website is not really rocket science. There's plenty of websites available. There's all kinds of packaged stuff. Somebody just has to step up to the board and, as Arnie explained, do it. I approach management a little different. In one of the companies that I worked for, we had a customer service department, and every week I would have held a customer service meeting with all the manufacturing managers, and I laid out what was good and what was bad, what was achievable and what was not achievable. And the next week we went to the minutes and we said, did you do so-and-so? No. Why didn't you do so-and-so? Well, I didn't so-and-so. So it's a give and take, and everybody got these minutes, and everybody knew where everybody stood on all their projects. And I would like to do that here. We should have a list of people and projects and when they are expected and why they haven't been done. That's number one. As far as the directory, again, this is not rocket science. There are many ways to make a directory. You could have a loose leaf directory, which I think, Tom, where are you? Oh, he left. In your development, you have a loose leaf folder, and you insert pages in your directory? Yeah, that's an easy way to do it. Everybody gets a loose leaf. There's a page for every resident, or multi-page, 2 residents on a page. When that page changes, we send out a new page, and it's always updated. As far as communication, we assume that everybody has emails here. A lot of people do not have emails. I would like to have a list compiled of all the people, and you can get it from the directory, that does not have an email, and when we send out an e-blast, we should have the responsibility for seeing that those people get a hard copy of an email delivered to their, at least the building, so they can pick it up in the lobby. Thank you.
There really isn't much more that I could offer to this, but I will say that the website committee recently had looked at 3 or 4 different websites, and they were quite expensive. But most recently, we were given one by David, and we kind of waiting to get around to doing it. And truthfully, we could have done a better job. Anyway, I really don't have much more to offer than that.
I accept full responsibility, or at least co-responsibility, for the current website. The problem with it is that the people who run clubs and committees never gave us any information to update the website. The problem with the current website is there is no administrator to accept the information that comes in and post it. And I know that there is a real problem with that, because on June 28th, I posted a question on the website, and I'm still waiting for an answer. So my question is, who on the administration of the website answers those questions? The answer is, there is no administrator. Somebody on the board of directors answers those questions if they like them or they don't like them. They make the choice. There is nothing really wrong with the current website. The fact that the community is not supporting it. And by that I mean the club committees, people who are on those committees do not submit information to the website and have it updated on a regular basis. And that's the real problem with the current website.
Again, I'm sorry to say I just disagree with everybody. It seems to me this is a first-class community. It should be a first-class community. We need to have first-class things going on here. As long as the board is going to micromanage and say, we're not going to spend a nickel for this or a nickel for that, or this is too expensive, it's more expensive to give poor service. We need to go out, we need to find professionals who do the job, and again, as I said before, we have a board that tends to micromanage. By the way, that's not unusual with boards that really don't have a lot of experience being board members. They need to go out and they need to enable and empower our staff. They need to empower others. They need to hire consultants when we need professionalism. And we can't rely on volunteers except in very rare cases. So I will be a voice for improving all of the things that you're talking about, but the only way to do it is not what we've always been doing. It's to do something else.
Anybody else willing to ask a question? Like that possession. Come on up. Come on up. We have seats up here for people who want to ask questions. Remember, when you ask your question, you must direct it to a member of the board. Okay?
Hi, my name is Erwin Fishberg. I live in Building 31. I've been in this community for 5 years, and I love living here. question I have is for all of the candidates. I said all. Which of you do not spend full time at Meadowbrook Point during the year? The question is, how many of you spend weeks, months in another city or another state during the year? Yes? How long are you away?
I'm sorry, but about 3.5 months now in Florida.
And you feel that you could do justice being on the board and away for 3.5 months?
I think about 15 years ago that would be absolutely a disqualifier. But today, with streaming, with emails, with cell phones, with various other things that my grandchildren tell me about, I think we can really communicate. We can really communicate. So it's not a lack of communication. If there are problems, I've been listed in the directory all the time. I'm not taking it out. People wish to call me, feel free. They can reach me. So whereas this maybe years ago would definitely be a disqualifier, I don't think that it should be, because you're not here physically here every single day. I think you can communicate with people, and this is otherwise I wouldn't really be here and entered my name.
Do you feel you know the pulse of the community when you're away for 3.5 months?
I think you can get an idea, sure. I really do, because you're here for 9 months, and you can absolutely determine what's going on, and you will hear with people communicating with you. They will tell you. You can check the blog, you can check the website, so it gives you a good idea. Okay?
Is anybody else?
One question.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, one question.
I guess I'm a full-time resident, and I walk the community almost daily, and I get to see a lot of problems personally and have them repaired, which you can't do if you're not here.
I'm also a full-time resident.
I also am a full-time resident.
I'm not. I'm away for 2 months. Erwin, I'm answering your question. I'm away for 2 months. Did you ever hear of FaceTime or Skype? Did you ever hear of Skype?
Yeah,
FaceTime?
Yep.
Telephone?
yep.
So?
And you think that gives you the pulse of the community for the 2 months that you're away?
Pardon me?
You think that gives you the pulse of the community and what's going on every day when you're away for 2 months?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
I am a full-time year-round resident. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question that's two-part. That's the first. Marty Carfingal, Building 50. Been here 10 years. My question is this: it's to three of you and three of you. The three people that are brand new, what would you be doing to change it? And the three of you that have been here from before on boards of whatever, or managers, why has it not been happening? Why is there such a dirge of parked cars that have no stickers, no passes, and no summonses? And there are so many things that could be going on to make that happen, and it doesn't happen. It seems to be that only if a person like myself sees a rover and makes a request that a ticket be given, will the rover go over and give a ticket. I approached one this week and said, tickets by request only, right? He said, what's your problem? And I told him, and he went over and wrote a ticket. But otherwise, they don't see it. Now, somebody's either directing them that you don't have to write tickets, or they're not. Because if they're supposed to be writing tickets, which is what it says in the bylaws, it tells you how much it's going to be, and a warning, and how much it's going to be the second time, they're not doing their job, and why are they getting paid? Now, this has been going on for all the years I'm living here, and it's 10, and I don't understand why it just goes unnoticed. The word blog seems to make everybody have an undertone of here and go crazy, but you see it on the blog all the time, all the pictures of all the cars parked all over the place. There's different ways that the problem happens. If the cars have no sticker, then how are they getting in? Are they sneaking in, or are they just getting a nod because the person at the gate knows that they're a caregiver, or they know that they're a regular customer of the beauty salon, or they know that they're a relative, but therefore they're still supposed to have a pass. And once they don't have a pass and they're sitting parked illegally, what good is a ticket going to do? Who's going to pay that ticket?
It's supposed to be a question.
What I did, I said, what will you do? Why has it been happening?
Let him respond.
What has it been what is what?
Somebody to ask the question.
I did. Three and three.
I have the microphone.
Okay.
I'll answer first.
I'll stand there.
In my opening statement, sorry. In my opening statement, I mentioned that there were several specifics that I would propose if I'm a member of the board. And I think I would be able to persuade the other members of the board. I would be, if elected, one person on the board, there are 6 others on that board. And I would have to talk to them about things like the electronic distribution of the minutes, which they stopped about a year, I guess almost a year ago. There are a lot of things that they did. What's that? Oh, the ticket. Well, he asked a lot of. He said, "What else would you do?" As far as the tickets are concerned, it seems to me that, and I've looked at all of this too, and I see that we have a lot of rules and they're not enforced. That should tell you something. So either we make the rules that make sense and are enforceable, or we have to change the rules. I don't believe in having rules that are not enforced. So we need to enforce. That's not a difficult thing to do. If you're in charge, you tell the security people, give those people tickets. What's so hard about that? But first we have to look at what all the rules are. There are a lot of other things that I think we should be changing, and I hope to be a force for some change, but good change, not change for the sake of change. Thank you.
As far as being concerned about security, I can promise you that if you told me that tickets weren't being given out, I would make sure that I spoke to the person who needed to be spoken to try to address the situation. Example, recently I've had some complaints, and I've seen it myself, about certain issues with security. I then spoke to the head of the Safety and Security Committee, Lenny Ropa. He then calls up Anthony, and then the situation gets addressed. If it doesn't get addressed right away, it's because it's being worked on. But believe me, it is being worked on. If you ask any one of us to do something, and maybe I shouldn't be talking for everybody else, but I feel that I can, being with them for 2 years, if you ask any one of us to do something, we'll make sure we try to get it done.
I know it's not a debate. I just want to try and ask something more about the same questions.
Not the way it's supposed to work.
Okay.
Is he leaving or what? I'm on the grievance committee, and recently we had a couple of grievances where people said, well, tickets were issued to home health care aides, and these people have been coming here for many years. So looking into the problem, I said, well, how could we honestly give a ticket to somebody when we don't know if they really got a pass or they didn't get a pass? So in doing some investigation, I find that there is no way that we had in the current system, when a pass was issued, that there was a mark left in the record that said a pass was issued. So we don't know if the guard was giving out a pass or not. So I spoke to Anthony at Bay Ridge Security, and I said, Anthony, when a pass is printed, can we put something in the record so we know a pass was actually printed and given to the person? So that helped a lot. So, and I don't know if there's a lot of cars, and I don't know if it's an exaggeration, that have no passes at this point. I would have to look at that.
I know I walk the community a lot and have found a number of cars without passes, and I've always reported them, and I don't know if tickets were given out or not, because I didn't follow through on that, but I know, yes, but I know they've been reported. Now, in some cases, there are legitimate reasons for no pass, and that's things like the printer was out of ink in one case.
There's paper and pencil.
I know they don't do it paper, they don't do it that way, but it's happened. So now they think they're supplied with more paper and ink, so that resolves that problem. But things happen like that, or sometimes I suspect there's a big line at the gate and they let some people through who they know without giving them a pass. But I'm sure it happens.
You had mentioned that 3 of us are new faces and 3 are repeaters. I think this points out why maybe a new face wouldn't be such a bad idea. I walk around and I see a lot of cars where they shouldn't be parked. You could call it illegally. Very rarely do I ever see a car with a summons, a ticket on it. And I think that maybe one of the solutions would be, and it may, folks, cost a few dollars more, that we have the security guy riding around as a rover. Why don't we have an additional security person walking around, checking every car up and down the community and issuing these tickets to people who deserve it? Probably I understand that there's a fine involved with these tickets, and I would think that that would help pay the additional cost of having the additional security guard. Because this has been going on for years, and nothing seems to solve the problem.
Len Reish from Building 19. I'm fortunate enough to be in 2 POA communities. And I've noticed there's a tendency for people who live in a POA community to hold the board members responsible for operational activities in the community. And that's what we're seeing now. There's a reason why people are reluctant to run for the board. They get held responsible for everything for which they shouldn't be responsible. They get criticized for everything for which they shouldn't be responsible. Here's the issue. Every issue that came up so far was an operational issue. The function of the board is not operational. The function of the board is planning, decision-making, oversight, and receiving metrics, information about how well each department in this community is functioning. So the question I have to all of you, what are you going to do in the future to educate the members of this community to realize that your responsibility is a high-level responsibility? No one goes to the CEO and complains about, or if you're a board member of a large corporation, it's unheard of getting issues that are little itsy-bitsy issues. So what opportunities are you going to take to improve the oversight of what's going on and get away from the responsibility for what happens? It's the oversight that's your responsibility, not cleaning up what is not right. Property Owners Association, a homeowners association, it's property. I live in a POA. It's the same thing as an HOA.
I think that's a very good point, and I think there should be really a good definition of what the responsibility of the people are who we are supposedly overseeing, and that they understand what their responsibility is, and that we carefully evaluate their performance. And if not, we work together to improve the performance. But it is a good point, and that it's just a matter of definition. What is your job? How do you define your job? And in this manner, we then evaluate the job and then very gently perhaps make suggestions how they can do their job better.
First, I'd like to thank you for your question because it's very insightful. But we're living in a community where we have people that are complaining about a $7 cost on a battery, and we are somewhat understaffed, and I thank Matt and his group for the work they do being somewhat understaffed because they work hard. And to do that, they probably need additional staff, and we don't have it. Same on security. We have a minimal security staff. We don't have a huge security staff. There's a guard at the gate and a rover. Every once in a while, there's a second guard if it's a holiday. I mean, we need more. And if you want that, you have to pay for it, and a lot of people in this community are not willing to pay for it. And as a board member, it's our job to balance that.
As I said in my discussion, I like to set standards, and I like to get information. And as I said in my opening remarks, I like to set standards, and I like to measure people, and I like to get information. And that's something we really don't have in this community yet. Like maintenance. We send a maintenance work order in, maybe you'll get a response, maybe not. You don't know when it's done, how it's done. We don't even know how many maintenance, open maintenance requests we even have every week. So that's something I'd like to see. How are we doing? How are we responding to maintenance? How many phone calls does the property manager get every week? How many problems do we get every week? We have no information with which to make our decision. So in answer to your question is, we need information so we can properly supervise and make decisions about what we do, which is lacking at this point.
Recently, a couple of months ago, we had no property manager. And Dave Goldstein and the people who were here, Matt, not Melissa, but I can't think, not Caitlin. Yeah, I guess Caitlin as well. But they did yeah, Michelle, they did a wonderful job getting us through that transition. Now, we have a system. For as bad as the website is, I know for sure, because it works for me, the work order system works. You put in a work order, and I receive back that it was received, and I receive something back to tell me it has been handled. And if it's not, I wouldn't get any of that stuff back. So there is some sort of information given to us. The property manager, Irene in particular, as a new person here, I think has been unbelievable, because anything that I've asked her to do and gotten involved with her, she has been unbelievable. So, as he points out, that makes our job a lot easier. Now, if you remember what I said in the beginning, I thank my wife for putting up with me trying to do this, because the negativity is just unbelievable. And maybe, listen, we do things. Well, the 2 years I'm talking about, we've done things. Have we made mistakes? Yeah. Could we have done better? Sure. But we are trying real hard to address the situations that occur. And as I said before, you have an issue. I'm walking around the community, as a lot of us do. I take pictures. I bring them into the office. Or if I don't take a picture, I go into the office and I tell them, one of the sprinklers isn't working. They take care of it. I don't take pictures and gossip about it. I get it done. I get it done because the people here that are working in the office get it done. I think that's something that we should be proud of what we're doing. Now, as far as the delineation in terms of the roles, I agree with you. But it's going to be very tough to have that in this situation, in my opinion, from the times that I've been here.
I worked for 2 multi-billion-dollar companies, and I managed many people. And my philosophy has always been, I would never assign a project to anybody that I wouldn't do myself. And that's how the website got done, the cashless system got done, and as Lenny mentioned, the digital maintenance system got done. Because nobody else volunteered to do it, I did it. And as on the board of directors, I would be in the same situation. I look at issues and I try to solve problems.
I think the question about what is the role of the board and the implication that the board shouldn't micromanage and shouldn't, be in there doing all the work is right on target. You're absolutely right. If we do that, we're not going to get quality work. We have to empower the staff. We have to bring in outside people when required. We have to act like a board, and the board is responsible for governance. The one thing you left out was budget. We have to look at the budget very carefully. We have to make policy decisions. Where I disagree with you a little bit is we don't have to educate the homeowners. We have to educate the board. And if everything works really well, the homeowners are going to be well served and very happy. And that's what we have to do.
I'm going back to my name is Louise Grinfelder. I live in Building 50. I'm going back to the thing about the parking lot being so crowded. It's certain days a week, and all these people don't have passes, and they're also supposed to follow that pass up, if they don't live here, with a bracelet that they paid for their spot to go up there. Nobody ever comes up and checks the spots anymore. Nobody ever comes up and checks to see if anybody has the bands on. And I understand that it's very hard, but the people should, the rules, when I was a kid, I used rules should be broken. They were meant to be broken. Not anymore. I feel that rules should be for everybody, not just for one group or another group. And I think the only way you can do that is by following up on this. And if somebody's there that's not supposed to be there and doesn't have an armband on, they should be told they have to leave. Or those people who brought them in should have it in their apartment, not in the clubhouse. And it's because it's very irritating to me. If I get here 5 minutes late, I can't find a parking space. I go upstairs, there's no tables left. I live here, and all the people who play on my teams live here. We don't have any people come in from outside. But a lot of people have people come in from outside, and they don't register them. So the rules have to change a little bit, or they have to be followed. And it's not the board's, it's the staff's responsibility. I'm sorry, I have to say it. It takes 5 minutes to send somebody up and have them look at the cards. Go to the tables, table by table, say, do you all live here? Of course not. So I'm just saying, rules should be for everybody, not just for a certain group of people. That's all I have to say.
Anybody want to address that in any way? No? Are there any other questions? Are we all done? Sure? Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. I hope this was educational. Remember, the vote's going to be Thursday. Expect to see you all there. If you handed in your absentee ballot, that's fine too. Yes.
Board of Managers is tomorrow night.
Excuse me, before you go. Why isn't this working?
Excuse me. Just a reminder that the Board of Managers meeting is tomorrow. Condo elections will be taking place, so please be there at your respective time. I believe Condo 6 starts at 6 o'clock. Condo 7 begins at 6 o'clock, Condo 6 at 6:30, so on and so forth. Also, a reminder that absentee ballots may be dropped off at any time. That will count as your regular ballot, so if you cannot make it to the meeting on Thursday, please drop off your absentee ballot at any time. Thank you.
Again, thank you all for coming.